Hello, hello, and I'm going to say hello a few more times. Hello, 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 just because it usually takes a while for it to actually go live. Welcome to this edition of V Radio and Johnny Walker Dread. Today, our guest is Faith Rittenhouse, and any other Rittenhouse who might slide in at any point on the camera, which is inevitably going to happen.
Yeah, it's
Um,
probably gonna happen.
you missed our argument about cookies. Um, you know, there was,
Which
or
I
rather,
won.
not our argument, their argument about cookies. Right.
Yes.
So, today we're talking to Faith Rittenhouse. We didn't get to interview Faith previously. We interviewed Mackenzie. So now she gets an opportunity to come on, and we're going to be discussing some things about Kyle Rittenhouse's book. If this is your first time checking us out, make sure that you have subscribed to both V Radio and Johnny Walker Dread for some great content. Both of us put out a lot of content on this topic of the Rittenhouse stuff. And now we kind of are moving into a new chapter as Kyle is coming out with a book. We both had an opportunity to look at it. And obviously, we wanted to give Kyle's family an opportunity to come forward and speak their side of the story about some of the things that are in the book. I'm doing my best to be as politically correct as possible because I read it and wasn't too happy with what I saw. Not from the perspective of like what he said, and so much as just that, why did you say that? That's not everybody's business. So I'll let Faith kind of elaborate on their own on this. So Faith, welcome to the show.
Hi. Thank you.
So we had interviewed your mom and your sister before, just to kind of discuss, like what things were like for you guys when all of this stuff went on. And obviously we can get into some of that too. But before we get into that, can we talk first of all just about like how have you and the family been doing, and you yourself, because we didn't get a chance to talk to you last time,
Sorry.
it's
Yeah, what
okay.
happened there?
Yeah.
I went swimming. I went and I hung out with some friends, and I went to like the pool, and it was just like swimming.
Hanging out with friends and swimming. Who does that?
Yeah, I'm sorry. It was summer. It was like late August.
I think you were chicken.
I think so. It was like a little bit because like I don't talk to people. I'm hidden. I stay quiet.
Well, you're not quiet tonight because you're
No.
here with us. So, as far as like how, I guess I wanted to give you the same opportunity I gave them before we move into like what's happened lately. But like, did you want to share any insight as to what it was like being, one of Kyle's sisters when all of this stuff went on? So just the audience can kind of get an impression of like what your angle on all of this was, what you saw.
Honestly, like what I saw was like so weird. Like having my brother out in the media felt so freaking weird. It was like, he's my brother. Like he's a normal kid to me. Like I
Right.
grew up with him. Like it's just weird. And like, so I don't know. I was just very like, oh my God, Kyle, like why?
Right.
Do you remember the first time that you saw your name like in the print?
Yeah. So the first time that like I saw my name, it wasn't actually my name. It was actually just the other sister. My name was just the other sister. And it was like on a picture.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So
What
are you
was that
are
like
you
to
the
see
other
that, though?
sister or is she the other sister?
I'm the other sister.
Okay, so you're the other sister,
And then
she.
they also have made a mistake and called me Mackenzie on another picture. And like then I've gotten called Kyle's mom.
Okay.
You're Kyle's older sister. Mackenzie
Yeah.
is Kyle's younger sister. We
Yeah.
want to make sure we get that straightened out.
Yes. It's very like opposite.
Mm-hmm.
So
How are you doing now? I mean,
Yeah.
Things looking up for you?
Yeah, I mean, right now I had to take a little break from college because I couldn't afford it. So I had to like switch to go back into like a full-time job, but right now I'm working a part-time job.
I get it. Been there myself. Yeah, I went to JC for 3 years. I was on academic probation for so much that it took me 3 years, and I still didn't get my AA, but I was able to transfer to a 4-year college afterwards. But yeah,
Right
I
now
totally understand.
I applied to nursing school. So I have that.
So it looks
But
like your aunt wants to tell you that she's proud of you.
I love you too, Mallory. Thank you. Little heart.
So you're going to nursing school?
Yeah, well, I applied.
Okay. Do you have any idea like what kind of nurse you want to be?
I want to do either trauma or pediatric.
Okay, cool.
That's like on two opposite ends of the spectrum.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, I'm thinking, like, do I want to work with kids and help them, or do I want to like be on my feet and like on the edge, like running back and forth?
I think
You
you
should
should
figure out a way to combine it and just be a pediatric trauma nurse.
Yeah.
I think you told me some time ago that you were interested in doing ultrasound tech.
No, that was my sister.
Oh, was it McKinsey?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I get you too confused. I'm sorry. But actually, we've known each other for a while.
We have.
We worked on homework together, didn't we? At some point.
With my
Probably
problem.
statistics. Absolutely. Absolutely. Neil, do you have a question up loaded up there for you? I got the questions I want, but I have to open up my cell phone here first.
No, that's fine. I can go ahead and just look at
Oh, and by the way, we haven't even promoted our channels yet.
No, you guys should.
Well, yeah, we should.
Yeah.
Obviously, you guys know who I am, V Radio, and then this is Johnny Walker Dread. Like I think I said actually earlier, you guys should both, should subscribe to both of our channels. If you like my content, you'll like his, and if you like his content, you'll probably like mine. We've covered a lot of this kind of stuff, and the different angles on things. We've had a lot of great interviews with people like Grambo and Nathan DeBruin, and so basically I think everybody who's here I was already familiar, but overall though, if you guys like this kind of content, if you like this kind of genuine, like actually humanizing to the people in question content, then you're going to have to support it. So, and I don't mean financially, although yes, I'm sure neither of us would mind if you super chat us. Share these links, because there are a lot of people that have much larger audiences than us, and it's largely because the YouTube algorithm doesn't really care for truth very much. So, share these links. That's really the best way to give your support to what we're doing. Did you have anything more you wanted to add to that, Johnny?
Well, if you're interested in the Kyle Rittenhouse Kenosha shootings, Delio, you probably need to subscribe to my channel. I would suggest that I'm probably the most prolific social media person on the Kenosha shootings. I have around 400 videos published on them. And I've interviewed Grambo, I've interviewed Nathan DeBruin and Kevin Mathewson, a lot of the big players in the trial. So if this interests you, you really need to subscribe to my channel. And I'm still pumping this stuff out. I just punched out 3 videos on the Kenosha, well, let's say Kyle Rittenhouse thing within the last couple of days. So.
Yeah, my content, I still do Rittenhouse content, but it's only like if there's something specific comes up, like, when some young lady is telling me, hey, can I talk about my brother's book? Then they might find their way onto my channel. I haven't completely abandoned it. I stay on top of it. Like I did a video about the Zeminskis. I kind of did my own like JCS criminal psychology video of their police interactions, because I was like,
interaction was something like.
Well, yeah, their version of what happened was pretty interesting.
Like the start
it's high comedy.
Funky.
Did you watch any of it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Cool. I watched both things.
Yeah, they were both pretty kooky, but
you might want to post a link in the chat.
That I kind of want to answer. I'm sorry. I just don't want this person like without answered. But she said, or he, I don't know who, but someone said, does Faith have to deal with the crap from the miserable people who've dubbed anti-Kyles too? And honestly, kind of, like a little bit. Like, I don't get hate as much, but like I've gotten it before.
So, yeah, and I remember talking to your mom and to your sister about all the crap that they've encountered through all of this as well. And, it's really unfortunate that people don't understand, again, that there's human beings on the other side of all of this. That was kind of the objective that I had with that interview, was that people needed to realize that at the end of the day, this is also a story about a mom and her 2 daughters who are just trying to like get through this, and that they're actually people. They're not just your playthings on Twitter. They're not just your playthings on TikTok. they actually have lives, feelings, concerns, and I think that it's easy for people to forget that, because the human side of the internet is something that frequently only becomes relevant like when it's like somebody's right up in front of you, so to speak.
Yeah. I feel like a lot of people have forgotten like that, like not only Kyle was affected by everything, but that like me, my mom, my sister, and like my whole family was affected. Like people
Yeah,
only
we want to hear more about that. I mean, how were you affected? I mean, tell us a little bit about what it was like.
It was scary. Like honestly, it was probably the most trauma that I've ever been through in life. And like I've been through a lot of things that like I don't want to talk about because it's my personal life. But like this was like the most hardest thing and the longest thing that I had to struggle with. And like I had to see like my brother's like state of like mind, and it was like hard to see him like broken, but at the same time it was like really hard to see how my mom was, because my mom, she would hide it like in front of us, and like behind the closed doors she would cry. I heard her cry like every single night, like during up till the trial. And like now after the book is out, my mom is like so hard, like she's like so heartbroken and like torn because of this book, because like it paints her as like a villain.
So, and I guess then that kind of brings us to like one of the questions that was on here. What did you find most objectionable about the book?
So like there's a lot of things that I found objectable, like airing out. I think I said that word wrong, so I'm sorry if I said
It's okay. I think everybody figured out what you meant. Go ahead.
objectable. But okay, whatever. I give up on that word. But like airing out like my dad's drug addiction. And like there was a part in that book where he said that my dad was arrested for cocaine, which is 100% false. He was not arrested for cocaine. He never did coke. He's never done that. And there was like airing out my mom's personal life, which I didn't agree with, because I feel like that book shouldn't have been airing out who she's been dating, who has she brought home. That is something that you don't bring up.
Right.
He said that my sister dropped out of high school, but she actually transferred online and she graduated a year early. There's a lot in that book that like I don't agree with. So I could go on for hours.
Let me tell you the backstory with me and Kyle on this. My first inclination that things were not going good with this book was your comment, Faith, when I read you wrote like an open letter to him. It was short.
Do you want
But
me
it
to
was
read it?
obviously, I'm sorry?
Do you want me to read what I wrote?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, please
I
go ahead.
can. So I have two of them. So the first one that I wrote, hold on, I'm sorry, I'm pulling out my phone just for the notes. So the first thing that I wrote is, so Kyle made a book about his upbringing and during the trial. All I have to say is 99% of it is a negative view on my mother. He had stated that she wasn't there in our lives. He didn't give an explanation on why. She was working so we can survive. He acted my mom did not provide for him, and that me and my sister would get a name brand things while he was stuck wearing Goodwill clothing. That is 100% false. He was actually the star in my mom's eyes growing up, and yes, we grew up poor, but one thing, she treated us equally. If it was freezing and she only had 3 jackets, she would give us those jackets and let herself be cold. When we didn't have food, she would find a way for us to get food, and she would go hungry. Yes, my mom is overprotective over us children because of our childhood. Seeing her hurt from all that was said about her breaks my heart. A part of her is so broken that I don't know if it ever can be repaired. Kyle went on his own path now and has blocked us. He didn't attend my grandfather's funeral when he passed away. He didn't text him goodbye that I know of. He didn't make a phone call to say goodbye. He didn't try. The part that was true about my grandparents were involved, and that they had helped us with everything that we needed. Kyle painted me and my sister as high school dropouts that didn't do anything. My sister had dropped out of high school and switched to the same program that Kyle was going to. I had dropped out for maybe 2 months and I switched to online school where it was hard to balance a full-time job and school. I had pushed my siblings to complete public school because of the struggles I had faced. I ended up finishing my high school program and had started college in 2022. This may seem all over the place, but all these thoughts just gathered all together, so stay with me. I'm sorry. I doubt this will ever reach an audience of people or even reach Kyle. But if it does ever reach you, Kyle, you hurt mom. That was my first one I made towards Kyle. And then the second one is a little shorter, but I said, so Kyle made a book. Wait, is this the same one? Yes, it is. Sorry. So Kyle Rittenhouse, his book is so false. Being his older sister, I am hurt. He has lost his way, and I hate taking to social media because I'm such a private person. I don't want to be in the light. I don't want people to know who I am. He said my grandpa had pancreatic cancer. He had stomach cancer. He said that all my mother wanted was a checkbook. That isn't true. Kyle is a true villain. He victimized himself in that book. He aired everything out, and I will never forget what he had said about my mother and father. My father was absent growing up, but he doesn't care to know who he is now. He didn't attend my grandfather's funeral, but he acts like he respected him so much. I had text receipts asking if he wanted me to FaceTime or call so he could hear my grandfather's service. He didn't bother to care. He only cared that he was at a paid speaking event. The frail, loving Kyle is long gone. I hope you enjoy your new circle of fake people that actually don't care about you. Because you lost the 3 who really truly cared. Me, Mom, and Mackenzie. Kyle, also, let's not forget that you had texted my mother right after her brother. Hold on, sorry. The note jumbled up. So it says, let's also not forget around Christmas time that you had texted my mother that blood is 75% water and that she basically meant crap to him. He praises he is a holy man, but he's not.
Yeah, I remember the second one. So here I am on Twitter, and I read that, and I direct messaged Kyle. I said, "Hey, Kyle, this is not looking good. I hadn't read the book yet. Okay, I didn't have a copy of it." And he wrote back and said, "Oh, I don't understand why they're so upset." So he sent me a copy of the book that showed to me that no, it's all positive. And I texted him back. I said, "Are you insane?" There were passages in the book, and I don't want to air them because, frankly, I don't want to, keep, propagate this stuff.
Yeah.
And I wrote back. I said, "You basically wrote all kinds of really negative things, and here are the things you wrote, and I can't believe that you're writing this." And he came back and basically defended himself, and then he quit. He just basically quit responding to me. So at that point, I said, "Oh, okay. By the way, I'll just give you a little bit of a heads up on everybody here. I do not like being ignored. If you want to tell me, hey, go blow off, Johnny, fine. If you want to say, hey, I've been busy, fine. But you don't not respond to me. I really hate that."
Yeah.
So for 4 or 5 days, he's not even responding back. And I said, "Okay, I'm going to tell the world how I feel about this book." Because, by the way, he did send me the copy. And it's a hot mess. It's a hot mess. And so if you're interested in knowing how I feel about the book, go onto my channel because I've punched out about 5 videos so far on it. And I'm going to keep going because here's the thing is also, I was under the impression that it was still in a draft, that it was made available online for purchase, but he told me, "Hey, we're still editing it." I said, "Okay, we still got time." So I'm telling him, "Hey, Kyle, you got to fix these things. Kyle, this is terrible." But he wouldn't respond to me. And I have a feeling that the book is going to go out as is. And I will say this, and I don't care what anybody thinks. Michael Quinn Sullivan, who actually wrote the book, nobody writes their own autobiographies, guys. Okay. Even professional writers don't. It's really hard to write your own story. Okay. So Michael Quinn Sullivan, who is a political lobbyist out of Texas, okay, he wrote it, and he has no business writing books. Go ahead, Mackenzie. I'm Mackenzie. Now you got me doing it, Neil.
No, it's fine. So, like, let me go ahead and comment a little bit, just because there's some people in the chat who I don't think understand what the point of all of this is. But it's like, nobody's suggesting that Mackenzie or Faith or anybody, like, that they somehow suffered more or anything. That's not the issue.
No.
The issue is that like, I read it and I couldn't even get more than a few paragraphs into it before I was like, just in different parts of it where I was like, what is your motive here? Why would you ever put this stuff in a book? Like, and I'm not going to get into any of the details. You guys can do that when and if you want to. But the point is like, there are a lot of things in there about his mother's personal life, his sister's personal life. None of it is relevant to what happened to him. It doesn't have anything to do with what happened to him. So, like, to put all of that stuff in there, I can't even understand. It's essentially he wrote like an Inquirer article about his own family. For what? Like, if he wanted to sell a book, he could just write about that night. People would have bought it. I would have bought it. Right? But all this other crap is not necessary. And it's just going to be ammunition for the people who are obsessed with dragging down the Rittenhouse family. That is the only thing it will do. It will serve no purpose. His life is not going to improve because of it. His reputation is not going to improve because of it. It's not going to help him with any of his trauma. Okay. It's incredibly reckless. And it's the kind of thing that after he puts it on the internet, there's no taking it back. And it's not, the whole world does not need to know about the personal lives of Wendy Rittenhouse, Faith Rittenhouse, Mackenzie Rittenhouse, in order to appreciate what happened to him and understand it.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you for coming to my TED Talk.
I will say this. The part that it kind of angered me the most was all of the trauma was about his own trauma. He doesn't mention anything about the trauma that the others experienced.
I had nightmares about him going to jail and dying.
Yeah.
Like, I
absolutely
thought that I would never see my brother again, like never hug him again. He never brought that up. Like, he only cared about himself in this book, and he didn't care who he hurt in that book. He didn't care about hurting my mom. He didn't care about hurting my dad. He didn't care about hurting my grandma. He didn't care about anything.
Right. I don't think that he even comprehends the long-term consequences of it. That's really what it amounts to.
I love him no matter what, but at the same time, like, I don't know if I could forgive him for airing out like all this like stuff in this book, this hurtful things that have been said, like those hurtful things. And like, yeah, like I should keep it private. I should try to talk to him, but like I can't because I'm blocked. I literally am blocked from Twitter, Instagram. I don't even have his new number.
So that's one of the reasons why we're doing this. And I want to say I've offered to be able to bring this interview to people who have bigger audiences than us, and nobody will take it. So, at the end of the day, but then again, like some of them are bringing Kyle on tonight. So I don't know what to make it of other than the fact that I think that people, kind of consider him the big item to, to get an interview with. Yeah. I'm a bit more concerned about the truth. That's why I got involved in all this. Like, I'm the left-leaning Bernie voter who uncovered that no, in fact, he did defend himself. That was my objective when all of this went down. My motive has always been about the truth of the situation. And that's one of the reasons why I wish other people would see the value in being able to take an opportunity to listen to you guys. When we did the other interview with you, the main thing that I wanted to do, and I've said this to other journalists who've contacted me since, was like, you need to go realize that these are human beings. They're not just your playthings for your ratings. These are real people with real lives and real feelings. And, if you go talk to them, you'll understand that. Right. And that was the part about it that I don't know, how other people do this stuff. I mean, I know that I've hurt my own audience because, as you can probably imagine, a left-leaning guy who's championing Kyle Rittenhouse defended himself is going to alienate a significant part of his audience. I just didn't give a shit. I was more interested in telling the truth. And so for this instance, it's like when I read this stuff, it's just a matter of like, even if, let's just give him the benefit of the doubt for a second, right? Even if everything he said in there was true, what would ever possess you to put that in a book? And I don't mean you, I mean him.
Yeah, him.
Right? Why would you do that? Like, what do you think is going to come of this? Like, what is the benefit to this? Like that's the part about it that it just doesn't make any sense. And I don't think he's really thought it through. I don't know that he even gets like I said, the long-term consequences. Once this is out, it's forever.
Yeah.
He can't come back to you later and say, I'm sorry about that, and then make it go away.
Yeah. And I told him in my direct message, I said, dude, once this publishes, once it ships, you can't retrieve it. This is a big deal. Take it serious. Never responded.
He doesn't care. That's like the sad thing. He just doesn't care because like he's just gonna do what he wants to do, and no one's gonna get through to him. I think I told you that no one's gonna get through. Like the only thing is he is surrounded by people right now that are feeding into his ear, and like it's just disturbing because like I'm not going to name names because I don't want to get in trouble, but I know one of them. Like I can name one person that's feeding into his ear, and she's not that great of a person.
Oh, I think there's plenty. And they don't care about you guys, and they don't really care about him. I'm sorry, what happened, Faith?
I don't know who this is, but someone said I have a deadbeat sister and one that's a whore. So what? It's the truth.
Yeah, just never mind that stuff.
He's not talking about you.
That ain't right.
No, he's not talking about you. He's talking about something else.
I'm so confused.
No, that has nothing to do with you. So don't read the chat unless I bring it up. But yeah, he's not. He's talking about something else.
I have
but anyway, but either way, but there are people who do know you guys who who are commenting in the chat. I would pay more attention to them.
But by the way, you mentioned, Neil, about using people as pawns and stuff and tools. Wendy, your mother, is thrown around on social media as a political, argument tool. They don't realize this is a human being you're talking about. And when you tell them, look, she had no involvement in Kyle being at the protest, they don't care. Because they'll still further the argument. They don't care about the person. They only care about winning the argument. And unfortunately, that seems to be sort of the modus operandi now on social media is, it even happened to Kyle. Like they wanted Kyle convicted. They didn't care if he was innocent. They just wanted him convicted because then they could go on and, win these little arguments they have on social media. It's really sick. And what can you do?
Yeah.
So let me ask you a question, Faith. When did you kind of notice first that things had kind of changed with Kyle as far as his relationship with you guys?
I think around November of last year it started to change, or October of last year, because like he started to like be more like commutative, like not commutative,
communicative.
Yeah, communicative. I don't know why. I just can't talk today. Normally I can.
Actually, I think you had it right the first time. Communicative. Yeah.
But like he just started to like not really talk to us, and then like it just went to nothing. Like him being very disrespectful, him being very hurtful. I think the last time I ever saw him in person was December of last year, maybe December. I just can't remember the last time I saw him in person, but the last time he only went to go pick up some stuff he left at like our house. And then him and my sister got into an argument. That was it. And then we never saw him again.
So somebody else is joined. Let me see if she's available to talk.
Oh.
Hey, yeah, I'm here, guys. I'm here.
Hey, look who's here.
So this is Citizen Ann on Twitter and Facebook. This is Grambo from the trial. And
the iconic. She's an icon in my book.
She's an icon. Do you hear that, Ann? You're iconic.
Oh man.
No, it's because like it's just because of how like blunt you were during the trial. Like, I enjoyed watching it. It was like
Honey, that's me every day.
You and Nathan both, and then like the memes that came out, I have those memes saved on my phone.
Queen of the Wild Frontier.
There's one like of like an American flag, and like it's just like there. It's my favorite.
Valid question from the chat. My question is, why on earth would he put out a book before the civil trials? Why would that be a good idea from a legal
Before
standpoint?
we move on with that there, but hey, Grambo, we had a check about a week ago to test your new laptop, and you came through beautifully, and now you don't have your camera on. What's up with that?
No, Mom's watching her Westerns, and I'm like laying in bed. I'm not going to be on here long. I told Neil I'm doing a little bit of suffering right now, so
that's great, Grambo, by the way.
Your mom watches Westerns? I love Westerns. I should come over and watch Westerns with your mom.
Yeah. I do too, but after a while, it's like, all right.
The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly is the best best movie ever made. I'm telling you.
John Wayne. You can't beat John Wayne ones. Tonight, I think it's a Chris Christopherson special with Westerns, and those are pretty good. But my favorite are John Wayne.
I think my favorite is still Unforgiven. I'm a Clint Eastwood guy.
Oh, well, okay, yeah, shoot, you brought up Eastwood. Damn it. Yeah, I'm a big fan there too.
Good, Bad, and the Ugly, which, as everybody knows, is the greatest movie ever made. Come on.
What movie?
The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
A real fun tidbit. Do you know
I'm
that?
I'm going to do an actual show on my channel about that movie. It's that good.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. It's that good. But
I have a relatable tidbit here. Do you know that I actually was talking with Clint Eastwood before Kyle hooked up with any attorneys? I was trying to get his help.
Wow.
Yeah, I know. I was shocked. I'm like, the Clint Eastwood.
Queen of the Wild Frontier, of course.
I could not fucking believe. Excuse me, I couldn't believe it.
I need to like, cause like I don't know if it's Clint Eastwood. I am very like an early 2000s baby, but I think his son is cute. I think it's his son.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, his son went on Joe Rogan. I remember.
I think it's Scott Eastwood. Yeah, it's Scott Eastwood. He's so cute.
Yes.
I used to gas up Clint Eastwood's car, by the way.
Really?
Oh. So it's clear then we all have like some kind of Clint Eastwood story here. All I was just a fan, but
I don't
really. We got to get back to
what we're talking about here. My question is, why on earth would he put a book out before the civil trial? Why would that ever be a good idea from a legal standpoint?
And
I would tend to agree.
I talked to a person in the know, and apparently it's really a fundraising thing. This person also is sort of befuddled that there are things in the book that should never have been printed if you're going to be going to trial. I have a theory, and I could be wrong, but I have a feeling that a lot of that stuff was put in after Mark Richards wrote the foreword. In other words, this book went to print, and then Mark Richards gets to see what's in it. That's not uncommon, right? You write the foreword for the book, you think it's great, and then all of a sudden the book comes out and you're like, okay, I can't believe I endorsed this.
Yeah.
I don't know, like, cause like I know Mark Richards personally. Like I've obviously met him a lot. Like I've obviously sat in the same room and we all ate together because during the lunchtime for the trial, we all sat in the same room and ate. Like, I don't think like he would have approved this book if he like knew that like Kyle was airing out my mom's like, secret life, and like especially during a civil trial and mentioning the people that he had shot. Like no civil lawyer would want that out there. Like to mention those people. Especially because now that they're in the book, like I may be wrong, but now that their names are in the book, they have rights to that book. In a way, they could sue for royalty money on that book, whatever it's called. I don't know what it's called.
Well, I think that what the big problem is, when you're being sued, you kind of want people to like you. gee, wouldn't it be great if they called this person up as a witness and they said good things about me? I know what I'll do. I'll write a tell-all book where I'll thrash this person. I mean, like,
No
for
kidding.
example, any of these people could be called up as a witness. And, like, why would you thrash them? I mean, it just makes no sense. But
has the full book released yet?
I'm sorry?
Has the complete book been released yet, or is it just snippets everybody's seen?
An electronic version has been released on Kindle. It got out. I looked at it. It's got formatting problems of the yin yang, misspellings, all kinds of issues. I've told Kyle about them. They said that they were going to edit the book and proofread it and get it out afterwards. I have a gut feeling, and I'll put money on it, that the book has not been changed at all, and it's going to go out and it's going to look really amateurish. So yes and no. The book is available for download for viewing, for for money. You have to pay for it, but you get electronic version. The actual release of the book should be within the next week or two, because they're going to try to get that in before Christmas.
On that free download, you get a chance to read like 3 pages or 3 chapters, or I don't know. I was looking it up, looking at it, the free sample that you got. And you're right. The formatting on that, it was like a child wrote that book.
Well, I noticed something, that there's a real big problem with the indentation. So the thing will indent lines over where they're not supposed to be, and every one of them starts with a capital letter, which tells me that they have some sort of macro going on in the background that's botching their formatting. And I tried to tell them, man, and I told them, I said, look, even if it looks good on your end, the fact that it doesn't look good on my end means you've got a problem in your source code. But he
I used Grammarly for it.
Well, Grammarly wouldn't help them here.
Grammarly.
I mean, there's other things like, I mowed this mountain of a lawn. Well, you don't describe a lawn as a mountain of a lawn, because then it looks like a large hill. Those are the kind of stylistic problems that almost like every other line, it seemed like. And I'm a professional writer. I know this stuff, and he never listened to me. Why not send it to somebody that can look at your book before you put it out? That might be able to alert you to problems.
I saw a lot of grammatical errors, formatting, as you pointed out. I noticed that grammatical errors, run-on sentences. It was just, some of it was just like, oh my God, you had to reread it a couple times to understand what he was getting at. I just thought I just couldn't believe that this was going to be a book the way it was written.
And since we're hammering on his book, why not? This is fun for me especially. But okay, the guy who wrote it is Michael Quinn Sullivan. He's a newspaper columnist, but the book is written like a newspaper column. So every line is on a new paragraph. Or
that explains it.
At least most of the paragraphs are like a single sentence, a few that have like a couple. So there's no flow. So there's no idea of, here's a paragraph that has a main idea. We're going to build that up, and then we're going to have transitions to the next paragraph. There's none of that. It's statement, 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 statement. So it wears on you. You get through 2 or 3 pages and you just don't want to read anymore.
Yeah, right.
So this is what happens when you pick the wrong writer.
So how many pages is this book?
200.
Oh my God, I'd
well,
never.
That sounds like a lot, but it's for an autobiography. That's not much. But really, if you pulled out the stuff and you just put the stuff that matters, it's probably about 20 pages. It's a lot of
work. It's like a long essay. But from what I read, on the free sample that you got, I don't understand. He's ripping on his mother and his sister and Dominic. So one thing is, his mother was an adult. She is free to see who she wants. She's taking care of the kids. She's going to work. I don't see why he was having such an issue about that. She was being a mom and trying to have a life.
He
A lot of
acted like my mom in the book. Like she wasn't like, I don't know how to explain it, but in the book, because I read the whole thing, like a whole 200 pages in like an hour. Like that's like an hour of reading for me. But in that book, he like started off like making my mom sound bad, and then there was times where it made it sound like she was a hard worker, and then that she was never home and that she was absent, which like during like before the shooting, like that day, she was telling him to get his little booty home.
Yeah.
Like
Right.
well, she didn't say like get your little booty home. She said something else. But
he was telling me that night while we were sitting on one of the burnt out cars, how much his mom, how many, she had to work so hard to support the kids, and he was at the school cleaning up, and how he wanted to be, he wanted to be a EMT and help his mom out, and I mean, he was just praising his mom and his sisters, praising everybody.
That's like so weird because like in this book, he's not doing that. He literally made it seem like me and my sister were bums that were high school dropouts.
To me, what I read, it just seemed petty. What he wrote was all petty, and it absolutely gave me no. I didn't feel sorry for him at all. I felt sorry that he had to write something like that. It felt like a cry for help, or
he
a cry.
Was victimizing himself.
Yes, there you go. Thank you.
That's like the proper wording for it, is that this whole book, he was victimizing himself from the start to the finish. It was never his fault for any of his actions. He blamed others for his own actions.
Unbelievable.
He blamed his poor childhood for the way that he is because of his bad childhood. Well, I'm not going to get into detail with that, but he blamed someone else for something else during the incident. I think Johnny may know what I'm talking about.
Okay, sorry. What you're talking about?
Yeah.
He blames somebody else for the incident?
Yeah, in the book.
Oh,
yeah,
really?
I can tell you who it is. It's Dominic.
Yeah, but we're not going to talk about him.
We're not going to talk. Yeah, I mean, I understand.
Yeah, but he blamed
but
him.
I think we can at least say that. This whole idea somehow that he's a good kid that just rose to the top despite all those bad influences around him.
Yeah.
And that permeates this book from start to finish. And look, by the way, we should mention, I fully believe that Kyle is innocent of all charges, and I think everybody here does.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
This is really more about how he's kind of changed after the trial.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, and that's something I've emphasized from the beginning, because there are people that are like totally like hero worshiping him, and it's like, I haven't changed my position. The kid is innocent. That's not the issue. It's just that he can be not a murderer while at the same time maybe not doing something that's very wise that could have a very negative impact on his family, probably not really thinking it through, not realizing the full implications of what he's doing. All of those things can be true at the same time, and I think that it was just as much a mischaracterization to call him all the names that the left-wing media did, to suggest that it's just as much of a mischaracterization to G.I. Joe the kid like the right-wing media did. He's just a person, and then there are people. It was like a normal kid in an extraordinary situation, right? And then his family gets dragged into all of it because they care about him. And you would think that, their peace of mind would be important to him. Like that's why I said is that it just strikes me as something that I don't think he's really put the full thought into, and I hope to God that he thinks again before he puts it out. And if it's too late, it's too late, but at the end of the day, yes, the kid had a lot of problems, but his family was there for him, and they're going to continue to experience all of their own issues. When we had your mom and your sister on, they detailed just like all the different horrors that they underwent, that there are people on the internet that won't leave you guys alone, so if nothing else, it's like that's why I keep coming back to it. So I wish that somebody could get him to answer, like, what's your motive? Why do you need to put all of this stuff in here? Like, what is the point of it? You're just going to give more ammunition to the kind of people that have been basically trying to ruin his reputation through all of this. Like, when they were just desperate for anything, it's not helping him.
Yeah.
And he's also going to lose. He's going to lose, I don't want to say that far right, but he's going to lose the Republican side. Just reading what I read, it was like, what the hell, dude? So I think he's go ahead.
Like, some of like the Republican people are like feeding into him though. Like, I don't want to like I feel like Jack Posobiec is like feeding into him because I see it on Twitter.
Tim Pool.
I don't really pay attention to Tim Pool.
They're feeding into him, did you say?
Yeah, they're like encouraging it.
Well, of course, because it makes money for them.
Yeah, it's controversy. They love that.
But like, they don't care about him.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I honestly believe that he is being used by those people just for their own gain, whether they're doing it intentionally or this is their business. Usually that's their job. They got to profit off something, and he is the something. He's going to be the something for a while, so they're going to profit off of it. So they're going to use him.
Let me put in a note aside for Kyle on this a little bit. So, we try to play the devil's advocate, because we're about the truth. We want to examine things from all sides. And what could be happening is that these people around him, Jack Posobiec, Tim Pool, and all them, they're hearing from Kyle what Kyle is telling them. And Kyle's convincing them that, wow, his family really was against him all this time. And so they're telling him, well, it's great that you're standing up, though. It's great that you're moving away from all those bad things. So I don't know which one is leading this.
Interesting.
Because like people like Jack Posobiec, they don't know the truth behind the scenes.
Yeah.
Hopefully they're watching the show or will watch the show at some point and get it, that there's another side to this. And you don't have to listen to a 20-year-old kid telling you about his family, because if you ever listen to any 20-year-old kid talking about his family, you're probably not going to get quite the accurate description.
Yeah, no. When I was 20, like, I was like, my mom's the worst person in the world.
Yeah,
Yeah.
You're 20. He'll be 21 in January, but he's still a baby. Like, he's still immature.
I keep in mind that boys will mature about 25.
I think so. I believe he went through a lot of trauma. I mean, I know what I went through in the months afterward. I never realized that type of trauma, or never felt that type of trauma before. It was shocking to see the things I saw. So I can only imagine the trauma he went through because of the experience he had with it. But I don't think his maturity progressed since that night.
I don't.
You know what I'm saying? I think it's kind of installed.
I agree.
And one more, I have a fact, and then I really should get my ass in bed. I got about 10 minutes. Here's a fact. So this fact is, if he's blaming Dominic for his choices that night, then why was Dominic the one who stayed on the roof at the place we were protecting, and he's the one who begged the guys to take him out down the street?
He begged?
Oh, he asked him to take him, yeah. Of course, he didn't want to go alone.
You're kidding.
No, Ryan Balch said it on the video.
Doesn't surprise me.
Okay, so like, you should know there's sometimes where I did not pay attention to the trial because it was like way too stressful for me, and like I care about my health. Like, I care about my health. Like, sometimes I couldn't watch it. Like, some days I didn't go, and I just avoided it completely. But I did not know that he begged these men to take him. Like,
Ryan Balch even said it on video. I even commented that night that they should all stay where we were at. You know, they left me. I was the only one left out on the ground by myself.
Kyle's
The guys were up on the roof. They all left. There I stood by myself.
Okay, so I want to make sure let me clarify what I said earlier about blaming Dominic. Okay. Kyle mentioned that Dominic in the book was a bad influence.
No. Kyle made his own choices.
Well, that's his claim. And Kyle might have meant about other things we will not talk about. However, because those other things were not mentioned in the book, the reader is going to come away with the understanding that he's talking about the protest. So I'm just trying to put some context in there. And that is the last we want to talk about Dominic. I mean, let's leave him out of this. I mean, that poor guy has been through a lot. So
he has been through so much. And like this is a little side note, but like about Dominic, we are still so close to him. Like me and my mom and sister, we're still so close to him, and like we love him like to death. And he's literally like my little brother, because like I'm like a year older than him. So he's literally like my little brother. Like me and him literally act like siblings. Like his mom like even pointed it out that like we were like siblings.
That's good. That's good. Yeah, I mean, I don't want to hash that because I don't know the relationship those two had before. You know what I'm saying? But from the after that incident, Dominic just stood by Kyle's side the whole goddamn time. He supported him. You know, I'm just shocked to read what I've read. I was shocked to have read that.
Me too.
Okay. I'm getting a little bit uncomfortable because I really promised myself that we wouldn't bring him in. So,
no, let's not talk about him anymore.
So I want to take a moment to address something in the chat. You're not entitled to your own truth. There is the truth. Like, this is like some crazy like alt-lefty stuff right here. Like, you know, but anyway, as far as like what what it is or he is not claiming, you can go read it yourself, because that's exactly what we're talking about here. I'm not just bringing on people to like gossip or say one side of things, with some malicious intent. But the reality is this: the reason we need to have this conversation is because he felt the need to share a bunch of private stuff about his family that's not relevant to what happened to him. It's not relevant to the trial. It's really not relevant to anything other than maybe like, let me just stick some stuff in here that's really juicy. Maybe more people will buy my book that way. There's no other motive to do any of this. Right. This is not going to make him any better off. And then people whining about his trauma or something. Yes, the kid has trauma. That's not a reason to traumatize your whole fucking family.
Right.
Like anyway,
yeah,
I put myself back in my box.
Just because you think it's true doesn't mean you write it. I'm sure that Bill Clinton had, probably farted in bed at night, but Hillary is not going to write that in her autobiography. There's things you leave out. There's just
especially talking about sex life.
It's called respect.
So there's a super chat question here from a friend of the show, Winning Reality. Is it possible people around him now were put there to corrupt him because he destroyed the establishment narrative so badly during the trial? I mean, I don't want to go. I don't think it's that. We don't need to go deep state on this, Winning Reality. Do I think that there are people around him that are probably influencing him? Well, yeah, that's inevitable. Like, I think that we could go with that, but I don't think there's a government conspiracy or something.
By the way, he has a great channel.
Yeah, if you guys haven't subscribed to Winning Reality, you should. But in any case, so we talked a lot about some of the things that he said that are in there that are not true. We talked a lot about some of the things that he said there that are unnecessary, and obviously he's not talking to you guys about it anymore. And I don't know what you're comfortable to share with, but people are, inevitably going to be just coming up with their own stories. Like, why is it that the two of you guys are estranged? Why is he not listening to you anymore? It's just because one of the things I encounter, and this is a really ironic situation for me to be in, because Johnny and I sit on Twitter probably entirely too much defending this kid all the time. Right. And so now I got to deal with people that basically like have his ego in their mouth, if you get what I'm saying. And like he can never possibly do any wrong. He's still a human being, guys. Nobody's trashing on him for anything that he doesn't deserve. But that's what it comes down to. Is like, he's not the victim here. He decided to write about other people's private lives in his book. He did that. That's what we're doing here, is we're talking about that bad decision, and how it's hurting other people around him who were there for him. There are plenty of people in his life now who are there because it's convenient to them. They were there for him. And that's the other thing. If he ended up in jail, these are also the only people who would have been there for him. Right. But I just, it's easy for people to kind of get it caught up in this, but even if he could be 1,000% innocent on that night, that doesn't make him G.I. Joe. That doesn't make him a Medal of Honor recipient who is therefore, completely free of any possible, negativity that could come out of him. It's very easy for somebody at that age, especially when they get money quickly and get fame quickly and get attention quickly, to make a lot of bad decisions. Mike Tyson talks about this all the time, that he became the champion of the world when he was like 19 years old and he was not ready for it. And he was rife for a situation where the wrong kind of influences could come into his life and then end up hurting people around him. And I think that's probably what's going on here. And I hope that he sees better of it. That's basically my point. But so I guess what it comes down to, though, is that, you and your sister have both endured endless internet harassment. Does that mean that your suffering is more than his or something? That's totally irrelevant. Nobody said that it was more. It's just that doing any of this, like, how is any of this going to make him feel better? Is it going to cure his PTSD? And I want to be clear, I'm a little vitriolic right now because I'm dealing with people in the chat. So if I sound angry, that's why. It's like, how does this help him? It isn't necessary. It's not.
And I would also add that, well, okay, maybe Faith and Wendy and Mackenzie didn't experience the levels of hostility. They didn't pull a trigger. They had nothing to do with any of this. So the trauma they experienced is completely unwarranted, undeserved. And I'm not blaming Kyle for, acting in self-defense, but he pulled the trigger. He was involved. Therefore, I understand the hostility with him. These others didn't deserve any of this.
Right. Yeah, they didn't ask for any of it either. That's and honestly, that's the part about this that bothers me the most. If he didn't put all that crap in his book, we wouldn't be having this conversation.
No. Absolutely. And no one would be hurt and angry.
Right. That's it. It's the people that are more or less enduring endorsing the insensitivity of what's going on here, just out of, again, sheer hero worship. I support the kid because he's innocent, and I did all of the studies to be sure of that before I put out any content on it. But that doesn't mean that everything he does in his life is going to be pure. If he screws up, then I'll be happy to mention that too, as I've told people for years. And that's why I said it's been unusual, because again, we spend hours of our lives posting videos and defending this kid from all comers who are still saying stupid, idiotic things like that he supposedly shot black people, or that he's a white supremacist, or that he's this or he's that. And that's all nonsense. We've done the work, so for me to be in a position now where I have to say to people, look, guys, he's still a kid and he can still screw up, and that might sometimes hurt people around him. I'm cool with that. That if you think that that's bad, get the hell off my channel, because I tell the truth here. Anyway, go ahead.
Okay, so let me ask you a question, Faith. When you go out in the public, do people know who you are? I mean, do they recognize your name? I mean, what about interviews and getting friends and stuff? How often does this come up?
Honestly, for me, I've been very lucky with nobody knowing who I am. I'm a very quiet person. I don't mention it. I've told a few of my friends that I have where I live, only a handful of people know who I am, because they're my close friends. They're people I talk to every single day of my life. So I've told them, but that's it. No one notices it on job interviews. No one knows who I am at my work. And I kind of like it, because I'm able to just be me. I'm finally hey, I could be me. I don't have to have that stigma of having to worry now about being Kyle Rittenhouse's older sister. Like, I
Right.
don't have to worry about, like, because, like, I'm not gonna state the state I live in now because, like, I wanna, like, keep it personal. But, like, we moved very far away from Wisconsin, and, like, if we were still in Wisconsin, I could 100%, like, guarantee every single person would have known, like, who I am and, like, who Mackenzie is, who my mom is.
Let's see here. Can you walk us through, because we asked your mother and your sister this, but I think it'd be interesting to hear you also talk. The day before and during the verdict and right after, can you walk us through what that was like?
For me?
Yeah.
Okay. So, like, sorry, but the day before the verdict, like, the closing arguments, like, we went into court, like, thinking, hey, this could be the day, like, this is it, but, like, we know how long closing argument was. Like, it was extremely long. And then we go in the next day and, like, we wait the whole day. There's no verdict, and we're, like, getting more anxious. Like, we're getting more, like, when is it coming? Like, this doesn't seem good because, like, we're like, it's taking long. There's obviously one person or two people, like, torn up and, like, fighting.
It was one person, by the way.
It was?
Yeah. Kevin actually interviewed one of the jurors. And there was
Oh.
one person that was holding everything up.
And, well, that makes me stressed. Even though it's over, it, like, it brings back, like, those feelings. And then I remember the last day of, like, well, not waiting, but the day that the verdict was read, like, this is kind of weird. Like, I'm gonna seem like a psycho or, like, crazy, but there's something in me that knows when things are gonna happen. Like, I just know when things are gonna happen. Like, I just get feelings.
A
And I'm like,
premonition.
yeah. Weird story, a little sidetracked, but before the shooting happened, like 2 days before, like, when the Jacob Blake stuff happened, like, I was like, something bad's gonna happen with my family. Like, something's just gonna happen with my family. And, like, I'm, like, telling all of my friends that. I'm like, something's gonna happen. I don't know what, but I just don't feel right. And 2 days later, the thing with my brother happened, and that feeling of, oh, something bad's gonna happen went away. But back to the trial and, like, the verdict, I have, like, severe ADHD, so
That helps.
sorry. But during the verdict, like, when it was read, my first thought, like, I heard guilty for Joseph Rosenbaum. I thought I heard guilty, so I was like, what? Like, I was, like, shocked. And then I heard the second one not guilty, and then I realized, and I looked over at my sister, and, like, I realized it's, like, all not guilties. Like, everything just, like, went, like, quiet to me.
So you thought you had heard guilty on the first one? Oh my
Yeah.
God, what did that seem like?
My heart sunk. I felt my heart all the way down to my, like, toes.
Because they don't just ring them out in rapid succession, right? So you
Yeah.
had some time to think about that a little bit.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
And I was
And
just
that
like,
was a big one.
and I was like, oh my gosh, like, oh my God. And then, like, I just look over and I'm like, oh, we're fine.
So when did you think, like, did you have to wait till all 5 of them were read or did you kind of get the feeling that, okay, we've got this?
After the third charge was read, I was like, we're like, he's free. He's free. He's free. Oh my God, he's free. Like, I knew after the third charge that everything else was going to be not guilty.
So after the verdicts are read, you went home, I assume. Or
Yeah.
did you pop some champagne or something? Like, what did you do?
So there was a little moment when we had to get escorted out of the courtroom, and, like, we all were in the elevator. It was me, my brother, and my sister, and we were all, like, jumping up and down in the elevator, hugging each other and, like, crying. And then when we got home, we celebrated with the Milo.
Well, did you have to run a gauntlet of angry people to get home? I mean,
No.
Wow.
It
I
was
was
like,
thinking that they'd be like, well, we can't get the boy, but here's the others.
we all went the same way. I remember seeing, like, I don't know if I call them paparazzi, but I remember seeing people with the cameras running and chasing the cars.
Good God.
It's like the really embarrassing MSNBC video that Kevin Matheson, well, it wasn't MSNBC, it was MSNBC getting caught trying to follow the jurors. Do you remember that video?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Like, did you see that one, Johnny? Because like it's on Kevin's Kenosha County Eye channel when like the police officers pull over a guy who's working for MSNBC trying to like, and then like, so they call his boss and they're like, we were just respectfully I'm like, yeah, you're trying to figure out who the jurors are. Get the hell out of here. Just anyway.
I've never seen that before in a trial.
So Grambo's got to go. Good night.
Yep. Take care,
take care,
Grambo.
Miss.
Good night.
Ann.
Nice to meet you guys. Or Faith,
I'll
nice
see
to
you
meet
later.
you. And thanks, guys. We'll talk soon. Okay. You have a good night.
Good night.
Bye-bye.
So I have to give a shout out to one of my viewers here from Twitch because I keep going to Twitch even though I have like 1 or 2 people who watch it there, but they're almost there every single time. So I have to say hi. Hello there, Lady Di. Anyway. Right. So basically, I think we've gotten down like more or less like the various things that you felt were inaccurate. There's a lot of people in the chat who are from your family who, have shown their support. And I guess it's like, because you said you guys are all blocked. If you could say something to your brother right now, what would it be?
Honestly, I'm going to say what I've texted him and then got blocked after. Because honestly, I've like tried to communicate and I just genuinely want to read what I wrote because I don't know if he read it. Sorry, I'm pulling up the message.
It's okay.
That's fine.
So I said, well, this is what I want to say. I said, hey, Bubs, I hope you actually see this and not decide to block me. I just want you to know that I miss you and I wish that we could have a relationship. It's hard not having you in my life anymore. And I don't understand, like, why we're not in your life. Because, like, we don't deserve to be blocked. We have been here for you no matter what. We have stood by you endlessly. We still continue to support you, even though you have said things that have been very hurtful. And honestly, like, I forgive you, but at the same time, it's just going to be hard.
But he hasn't asked for your forgiveness.
No, he hasn't. But me as a person, me maturing, just has to forgive them, even though if there's no sorry.
And so this is what you said to get blocked? I guess I'm trying to get to the part that's mean. Like, what would be the reason?
I don't know. The whole message is like very
That's
sweet. I said, it just sucks that you're not in my life anymore and I love you. And then I got a thing that says, today, you cannot message this user because you are not verified. But I am blocked. If everyone doesn't want to know, this is my brother's page on my phone. I've been blocked for like 2 months.
Good. Well, I mean, I'm surprised he hasn't blocked me. I think he might after tonight, but I don't care. Like I say, my channel, I want people to know the truth and wherever it goes. And you know what? He wrote his book. He got to say his truth. And I know how you feel about that phrase there, Neil. Well, you know what? The others that are mentioned in the book, they have to have an opportunity as well.
Right. And I think that my big point about that was just that's an attitude that is leading to people to believe that they're entitled to delude themselves any which way they want to make themselves feel better. And I don't deal in that kind of stuff. The funny thing is that, and speaking as somebody who leans left on a lot of things, particularly economically, you can't have an irrational society and then be able to figure out how to work, how you're going to share and cooperate and do all the things together that the people on the left think that they should. So it's like the least smart thing would be to have a society where where we're all entitled to our truth, and it just, and even if that, it all comes back down to the same stupid thing. It's just that it's, what does he think he's going to get out of it? And is it worth the damage that he's doing to those people? And I don't think that he'll ever know. I think that it'll be something that, like, maybe he regrets later on, but it may be literally years before he figures it out. And go ahead.
I think is your dad in the chat, Faith?
I think so.
Yeah, good.
I think so. My dad, honestly, he's gotten to be a way better person than the person like that he was like written to be. Because like it made it seem like he was a drunk, and like, yeah, my dad did have his party days, but like he's grown out of that, and like he's holding too much on the past in his book instead of letting it go and moving forward.
Yeah. So I guess then I hope that in some capacity he eventually hears what you said and starts to rethink his viewpoints on it. But I don't know. When somebody's caught up in that much celebrity, it frequently can very seriously cloud their judgment. Then you just couple with the fact that, I mean, the science says that your brain isn't even, like, long-term consequence brain isn't even working in most people until their mid to late 20s. So
fully developed yet. Like a little more time, and then maybe he'll like finally start making some smart decisions.
Right.
And by the way, the final hasn't shipped yet. I'm really hoping that he looks at this and says, okay, maybe I should delay the thing a little bit and maybe make some of these changes. I'm not real hopeful, but
I honestly think he's going to be very angry with me, but like I didn't do anything. I didn't say anything wrong. I didn't say anything mean.
Well, and what would he be angry at you about? Hey,
like,
gosh darn it, I'm trying to sell a book where I tell a bunch of personal stuff about mom and your, and you and my other sister. How dare you try to prevent the world from hearing all of these private details? Or like, what is he mad about? That he's got this evil scheme and she's foiling it?
Please send me a signed copy, Kyle. Please, I want it. Please, like that is like my Christmas wish list. I really want it.
Do you want an autograph too?
Yeah. Honestly, I'm gonna burn his book in the campfire. Have like a little like marshmallows. That is kind of mean to say. I won't actually do that.
Right.
What you should do is put the book on a wall and take an AR-15 and shoot a bunch of holes in it. That would be very symbolic. There you go.
So, the funny thing is, like, this is a little sidetracked, but like, it's about my like upbringing. So I am an extremely liberal person. Well, I was. I didn't believe in guns, like during the shooting. I didn't believe in guns. I believed that they were harmful.
That was the thing that we uncovered during the exclusive interview with your sister and your mother, was that contrary to popular belief, you guys were not all crazy MAGA hat wearing, extreme right, conservative, people who had guns under every, drawer, in your kitchen, in your living room, none of that. Right.
I was a Bernie Sanders supporter. I loved Bernie.
See? Yeah, you and me too. Yep, that's what's crazy about it, is like you guys were characterized that now. And obviously then I have to ask, because I've got to be sure, where were all of you on January 6th?
I was at the Capitol. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
Oh, right now they're heading to Twitter.
Yes, I was at the Capitol. That was Meemaw. That was me. Right. I was Meemaw.
That makes perfect sense. No, well.
And by the way, I do have an issue with this whole thing about MAGA. Look, the people that follow my channel are typically not hard right, and I know Neil isn't. I'm not a Trumper. I'm really getting kind of tired of people equating Kyle's supporters with that whole January 6th thing. You know, I mean, I really am getting kind of tired of it.
Well, no, and I'm doing it as a parody.
Yeah, I get that.
Obviously,
I know, but you
no.
gave me just a PTSD moment.
No, and it's a thing that I covered on, because I did a documentary about that too. It was called Hindsight is Always 2020. It was comparing January 6th to all the riots of 2020. And it just, the need to build it into being this thing that it never was, so much bigger than it ever was, was part of the problem, but also just the weird caricatures of everybody that was present, because it was apparently an entirely white supremacist crowd that had people of basically every race in it. Like, there were just so many things that they lied about that went on. It's like, I don't support, any kind of violent activism, not just because I think it's immoral, because it just doesn't work. It doesn't work. It's like, because they went and did that, now the Republicans have to basically spend the rest of their time defending January 6th rather than going on to the things that actually matter to them, and that's why it just wasn't a good idea. But anyway, my main point was just to say that you guys were not the caricature of this right-wing super family that everybody said.
I have a special guest from Wendy.
Yeah, who is that?
It's Wendy Rittenhouse, right over here.
Hi. Hey, Wendy.
Hey, what's up?
Yeah.
How's it going, Wendy?
Good. I was gonna put Maggie in her crate. This is Maggie.
Then. That's Maggie.
Yeah.
Now, where was the dog on January 6th?
Not born.
Not born.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Right.
Her mom was at the riots.
I don't know, Neil. Is that a good excuse?
Yeah,
No.
I found this dog a couple weeks ago.
Not being born, that is exactly what an insurrectionist would say to defend themselves. Like,
no, I would take in any animal. Trust me, everybody knows that.
Yeah, we got 4 cats.
Yeah. Anybody who knows me, they want to get rid of a cat, they give it to me.
Yeah.
Okay, Otis.
Hey, Wendy, when are you going to come back on the show?
I don't know yet, because I started a new job the other day, and I'll be working like at 4:00 in the morning soon.
Oh.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I'm not doing 4 a.m.
No, I have to get up
at a 3 a.m. show?
No, I probably have to get up at 1:30 because it takes like a half hour to get there and go through security, a little bit longer, and walking.
right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is Mackenzie going to say hi to everybody?
I don't know where she's at.
She's in her room.
No.
She's home. She's probably sleeping. I did text her and asked her, "Are you home?" Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Yeah,
man.
Otis is like, you're holding Maggie, not holding me. Yeah, you can hear him. He's a drama queen. Oh, come here. Come here, fatty. Sit.
So my dog does not want to be a part of the show, but I have a husky. Just so everyone hears the whining, it's a husky.
Well, how do you know the dog doesn't want to be part of the show? Did you talk to the dog? Did you ask the dog?
Let me see.
Where was the dog on January 6th? I have a feeling that's why.
Did the dog vote for Trump or for Bernie? That's the question.
Honestly, I feel like he would vote for Hillary Clinton.
Your dog would vote for. Get the dog out of the house.
Yeah. I don't need that dog around.
See, that's something even the conservative and the left-leaning guy on the podcast can agree with. We don't need Hillary Clinton. Yuck. Ooh, yuck, yuck, yuck. I'm just crazy that she's even still on TV. Anyway.
I feel like now it's just like an animal show because of her. There's the little.
There you go.
We have Otis, and there's Milo and Otis. Kyle's dog, Milo.
Mm-hmm.
Otis and Milo have met. Just to clarify. Also, I saw someone say, "Why does everyone name their dog Maggie?" And honestly, I don't know. She named her.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to name her Thumper or Prancer.
Thumper?
She jumps. She literally leaps.
Jumper. I don't know. I think Fido and Spot.
Spot would be cute.
No, with Maggie and stuff like that, when the kids were little,
Kyle wanted a dog named Maggie, so she named the dog Maggie.
Yeah, because I mean, we had a dog named Misha. She was already named, and when we got Milo, he was named, and Otis, he's a boy, and we needed to come up with a name, and he looked like an Otis. And when I found her, I was like, Molly. I'm like, Maggie. And I'm like, yeah, I'll name her Maggie. I call her Maggie Marie. Anybody who knows me is like, when their animals come, I'm like, you want a treat? You want a treat? And then I'm like, give them a treat. And they're like, when they come over,
Mom,
it's
look what
like,
Amy said.
and I just like, here come. They come to me. I give them food. They know.
You want to show that one chat thing there? It starts out with "he's 20 and has nobody." I think that might be somewhat interesting there, Neil. I don't think I can actually display them.
Let me see where it is. Like where he's 20? What are you talking about?
It says he's 20 and has nobody really looking out for him.
Yeah, well, and I guess like if you guys wanted to comment on that, go right ahead. I can't see it for some reason. I don't know why it's not in here.
I don't know if I can share it. I know I can't.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Oh well. No, never mind then. But I thought it was something. What do you want to bet he signed over rights to his story for royalties and has no say in what was published? Okay. I'm sorry. Your name's on the book. Too bad.
Right.
Your name's on the book. You know, it's like when you sign a law brief and you send it in, you're responsible for what's in there.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm not going to go along with that. And that's not uncommon. I know that like a lot of football players will write exposés on their programs because they got in trouble and need money, right? But ultimately, in the end, you're responsible for what is actually going to get published, and you have the right to say no. Now, some people have a hard time saying no. I get that, but the book is self-published. I don't think so. If it was published through Wiley or something, I might go along with that. But it's self-published. I don't think so.
I'm gonna sound so mean, but I wrote Kyle's English papers for him in high school. He could not write it. He can't write a book. He can't write a book. I wrote his English papers.
But here's what's interesting about the book is like the common thing that people always said was, those against him said, well, he's dumb, he drop out and all that kind of stuff. But he basically goes out of his way to talk about how he didn't do well in school. And I'm thinking, okay, it's great being honest about certain things, but you could write things like, but I always liked math or I always liked English, but nothing. It's all about how he didn't care about school and how he did terribly in school. And okay, if he has any political aspirations, that's not going to work out well for him. And so I actually totally believe you when you say that, because he basically comes out and says it. I'm a terrible student.
The one thing I do agree with him on that book is when he told me, when he said that he wished that he listened to me about dropping out of high school. That's the one thing I agree with him on, because I was on his little booty. I was like, you need to go to school. You don't want to be like me. You don't want to struggle. You don't want to be working at a minimum wage job at Burger King your whole life. You want an education. And he didn't listen, obviously. And then he had the opportunity to have an education. He went to A&M, lived on College Station. He threw that all away.
Yeah, he does talk about that, and I have heard from others that it was even more ridiculous, but I'm not going to go there. But
yeah,
the fact is that he did have the opportunity to go to Blinn College, where he could have gotten I think he has to do a 3.2 GPA for 1 year.
Yeah.
Then he gets automatically transferred into Texas A&M if he wants. And I'll say this: I knew a professor at Texas A&M who offered to meet with him on the college and introduce to him some of the professors and show him the program. Kyle never responded.
I would have taken that to granted because that's what makes me angry is that he doesn't take his education seriously, and like he threw away all these opportunities that someone that would want an education would take.
He mentions in the book that, oh no, actually it wasn't in the book. It was in the latest interview on American Sunrise. I have 2 videos on it, by the way, a part 1, part 2. Oh boy. So he's talking about how he wants to go to college and stuff. And I'm thinking to myself, that ain't going to happen.
No.
It's just not in the cards. I took a year off after high school. Actually, I didn't even get my diploma. So I had to get the GED, but I took off for a year and I was able to go into the JC and do it. But it's not easy. If you don't get into the college right away, it becomes harder and harder.
It's so hard.
I know, Faith, that you're wanting to get back into the groove of things, and I heartily encourage you to move back in as soon as you can.
Yeah, it's just my money situation that I'm struggling.
Absolutely, I agree, and that's what it was for me too. I didn't have any money, and this was back when JCs were a lot cheaper than they are now. I mean, even a JC is going to set you back some money.
Yeah,
and so I totally get it, but I would encourage you to get back in as soon as you can. And
yeah, my goal is by like August to start back up in school and like do that all, because like that's like my one thing is that I at least want my bachelor's in nursing. And like I already have like a little bit of my school knocked out, and like it's not that like I'm lazy. I just don't, like, I have to work.
Well, you did better in high school than I did.
Yeah, I had a 3.7 GPA.
I had like a 0.7 GPA.
I tried really hard. I am known for being an overachiever. I'm the smart one in my family. It may seem like I'm very airheaded and like very like bull
No,
on,
not at all.
I'm actually really smart.
Yeah, not at all. I mean, you're very chirpy.
Yeah,
which we like that. Yeah,
I'm a very like person.
Yeah, I went. I struggled in JC. It took 3 years. Was on academic probation twice. But back in those days, the 4-year colleges, some of them had to take you. It was open enrollment. So if you applied and there was a room, they had to take you. Otherwise, I would not got into a 4-year college. And like 12 years later, I had a PhD. So, it's never too late. Never give up and just continue to work towards it. I totally get it though. With today, it's a lot harder. School is just a lot more expensive, and without going off on a rant too much on this, but all of those services they provide you now, which we didn't have when I was a kid, like all the health services and all of the, inclusive services and all those things, the diversity offices, those things cost money. And so when you wonder why is tuition so high, it's because society keeps demanding that universities provide more and more of what we used to have where families would provide, right? Like if you had a problem, a mental health problem a little bit, there wasn't a center at the school where you could go and get free counseling. All right. Now they have a ton of counselors.
Yeah, my college has it.
Oh, doesn't?
I went to had free counseling. My work has free counseling now. Like you could go into therapy from my work for free.
Yeah. But it's not free.
Yeah,
somebody's paying for it, and it's the tuition. So it's a lot different. And I think that a lot of people have a hard time understanding that, right? Like, well, when I was a young kid, it wasn't the same. I mean, I could literally work a full-time or even a part-time minimum wage job and be able to pay the tuition at a junior college.
You can't do that now.
Oh, no.
Like the only way that like it's like genuinely easy to get into college is if one, you drown in student loans, or two, you are a part of like a rich family.
Yeah, and the student loan thing is
Well,
really amazing.
I had help for mine, and I just ended up getting the Pell Grant, which like covered majority of like my tuition, and I only had to pay I think $200 for my first semester. Like it was like cheap, but now it won't be.
No. We got a comment came over from the Rikita. That's the other show that's going on.
What's going on there? Does anyone know?
Kyle.
I'm actually listening to it right now.
What's going on?
At the same time that I'm listening to you guys, I'm multitasking.
Okay. Can I just do it on my end? So tell us about why you wrote this book. I wrote this book because they're calling me a murderer. And I want the truth to get out. I don't like it when they call me a murderer. I was acquitted by a jury, so I'm not a murderer. Okay, there you go.
I feel like sorry, I got dogs barking.
That's okay.
I feel like what's going on with Kyle is that someone's like standing in front of him. Pretend, okay, sorry, this is the dog treats, but pretend like
Go ahead, give him one.
thing and like it's like
Hey, those look pretty good.
my dog may like them. You want one?
I wished I could, but
it's milk-bound. We're very distracted. It has ground whole wheat. That's healthy. It doesn't tell me how much calories though.
Oh well, yeah. See, we just give old Roy and Purina. That was what we fed him.
My dog gets Purina Pro Plan for his food.
Oh well, excuse us.
He's fancy.
But you were saying something, and I'm sorry. I think we got. Oh, yeah, the dog was barking, and forgot what you were talking about.
Dang. It was him, like Kyle, like being read like a script. That's what it feels like when he's like in interviews. Is that he's like being read a script? Oh, I could see myself right now. Well, I have been, but like the way that so like this is like me being judgy, but the way that he sits in front of the camera, he's very propped, and it's like he had prepped, and like yeah, that's good. But it looks like he's like reading from a script. He goes on his phone. I really can't hear them, but
although I didn't put them on, I just wanted to show the super chat that I sent. Anyway, but anyway, I'm gonna pull this off.
I'm judging his podcasting skills because I'm very judgy. But like, oh wait, hold on. I'm sorry. Someone like said something about the college, and I actually kind of want to read it real quick.
All right. What? How dare you wish to read it?
Do you want me to read
it? Is there any legal action the family can take to stop the book's publication? No.
Honestly, no, there is none. I thought that there was like something because like I watched a TV show, and I thought that like before that you had to have the people's names. Like if you're like writing about the person's life, you had to get a signature or something, but clearly that's a TV show.
No, they pretty much, he can pretty well do this.
I kind of want to write my own book. I've been thinking about it.
Well, I know somebody who can write it for you.
No, I want to write it myself.
You want to write it yourself? Oh, well, okay.
Yeah, no, I want like 100% like authenticity. I said that word wrong.
Okay. But before you publish, have somebody like me look at it.
I'm gonna
well, I mean, you could be the greatest writer in the world, but man, I in my job right now, which I've done for many, many years, is I take technical documents from others and I shred the crap out of them. And a lot of these guys are really good writers, but you don't see it. I can see what you don't see.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's like I tell them, it's like, you know, the boxing trainer is not a better boxer than the boxer, right? And in fact, Muhammad Ali's trainer never boxed, but he can see things from the corner that the boxer can't.
Yeah.
That's the way I look at it. And by the
Tyson
way,
and
all those people
Patterson's
out
didn't either. Sorry, go ahead.
on my channel, I'm doing a lot of shorts where I'm exposing one mistake in Kyle's book after another. I've got 5 of them, I think. And these are the things where they didn't realize that it was there, and I'm showing them. And the purpose of this is not to embarrass him, but to get him to get somebody to edit this thing before he ships it. Only have about another week before he starts to ship them out. And I'm hoping that he sees this and realizes, okay, I don't want Johnny Walker Dredd doing it because I hate him because he says bad things about my book. But maybe I can go to somebody else who kind of knows what they're doing, who can look at this and find the mistakes. And there are a ton of them.
I agree. Didn't you help me with an English paper before?
Did I?
I think so.
I don't recall. I know I did a probability statistics one with you.
Yeah, you did probability.
I know I've done a couple of assignments, but I can't remember.
You did do an English one. You did. Hold on. I'm going to go on my email.
No, I've helped you with 2 assignments. Oh, she's going to look it up now.
Yeah.
Hey, wait a minute. Why did I only get a D on this paper, Johnny?
Yes, I did. I actually sent you it.
Oh, yeah?
It was about habits. I got an A+ on that paper, by the way.
There you go.
So if anyone
I remember it now. Yeah.
But I completely rephrased the whole thing. Like I stripped it and I just wrote about something else and then I got
okay.
So I got an A on my own.
Okay. All right. I can't take no credit for that one then.
So guys, is there because I'm actually not feeling fantastic at the moment.
Yeah, I think you're kind of petering out a little bit anyway.
We've done it, and I want to be clear. Faith, is there anything else that you really want to get out there before we're done? Because that's the primary thing. Not that I mind hanging out with you. I just happen to you're pretty charming. So
Thank you.
You're welcome. But with that said, though, what else did you want to say that you maybe haven't covered yet, or anything else that you would like to say to the audience before we go?
I feel like everyone should just know, like I've said it before, but that book is 100% Kyle victimizing himself, and don't believe everything. If you read it or if you have, don't believe everything that's said in it. And to think of the fact that he's not the only one that has faced trauma, and that his whole family has faced trauma in our own ways, and he's not the only one.
Right. Well, yeah, you guys were all with him in your own ways, especially your mom. That's why it's like your mom actually reminds me of my mom sometimes, and I was just like, I can't even imagine what she'd have been like going through something like that. So, but anyway, so people are asking me what my super chat said. My super chat on Rakita Law was, Kyle, what compelled you to share personal details about, your mom and your sister's lives, meaning the ones that have nothing to do with that night. Rakita doesn't ever read my super chats. He didn't read my super chats during the trial either. And, so it doesn't surprise me, but Kyle was in the chat over there and was saying, does anybody have questions about my book? I'll be happy to answer them. I'm like, yeah, sure. Why did you write about your sister and mom's personal lives? And he didn't answer me.
He won't ever answer anything about me, my mom, or sister. This is the sad thing, and we're just dead to him. We're literally dead to him. He'll never know anything about us.
That's sad.
That's the sad thing. It's the sad thing to think about, but I've learned to move on from it and not let it affect me.
Right. Yeah, and that's when I'm sure you guys will bounce back. So the thing is, when Johnny and I talked about this, the objective wasn't just he's making a mistake. He doesn't realize how bad of a mistake he's making. He may never, but at the end of the day, unless he, navigates things really well, a lot of the people he's surrounded himself with are going to be people who he is only useful to for now. When he ceases to be useful for them, he will be left wondering, why did I alienate my whole family? Right. That is what I would imagine.
Go ahead.
And I want to be clear, I don't think people have to keep people in their family around them that are toxic, but you guys aren't toxic. Like
No,
I sat and talked to you guys, you're all just like really just normal American people. And like,
God bless America.
Right. And so my point is just that it's really unfortunate. And that's why I used the example that Mike Tyson brought up, because he brought it up because it was on Joe Rogan, and John Jones was another guy that won a title really early in his MMA career. And he was too young to really grasp all of the power and fame and everything he was going to get, kind of damage it would do, And so, I mean, I still wish the kid the best. I don't hate him. I'm angry about what he did here. That's what it comes down to, and I was invested in this from the beginning, and there are a lot of people that stood by him that at this point, it seems like he doesn't have any use for now, and that would also include, like, and I'm just going to be blunt here, like Rekieta Law basically won the lottery by happening to, have a popular stream where they talked about the trial. There's nothing particularly special about any of his content. He just kind of sits there and gets drunk on stream. There are other law tubers that I think are great, like Good Logic, for example. I think Nate the lawyer is fantastic.
Isn't there a girl?
Which one?
Girl. There was like a blonde girl that was like
I haven't, good. Yeah, and I haven't seen all of them. I haven't sat down and watched all of them yet. But those two in particular put a lot of work into their stuff, and I always feel smarter when I listen to that. I've never listened smart. I couldn't even get through 5 minutes of Rekieta Law. So it just my point is only to say that there are a lot of people that like he has given a lot of attention to that didn't do anywhere near the work that, say, a guy like Orkanut did. Not that Orkanut's trying to get interviews. That's not his thing. Or people like me, or people like Johnny, or people like, people who actually were there for him, and we didn't get any compensation, nor were we looking for any. I had a lot of people asking me where to send money for what I was doing during his trial. And I told all of them to send it to his defense fund. Like, because that was my objective, and I hope that when, it kind of reminds me of some of the stuff Richard said at the end. It's like Kyle's going to need to learn, to say no to some of these people. He's going to have to make a lot of intelligent decisions about his future, and that he hoped that he would do it. I hope he still listens to him. I don't know who his legal team is right now. I don't know anything about that, but in general, I cannot imagine what characterizing his family in such a negative light is going to do for him in the long run. Other than maybe, like I said, if they make it a little spicier, maybe he thinks he'll sell more books or something. But I don't think any of that was ever going to be necessary. So
well, there's not going to be a book 2. Is that one going to air out more drama?
Right. And so that's basically, what I wanted to say about it. And I really appreciate you coming on, and you guys are awesome, and I think that I hope that you guys can move past this, and just because eventually this is going to fizzle out. It's going to take considerably longer than it needed to with them, with him choosing to drag a bunch of stuff into this book that shouldn't be there. But at the same time, you and your sister are very smart. Your mom is a sweet lady. I'm very confident you're going to get through this.
Yeah.
So I hope that, you stay in touch with us, and, I've been planning to, I just haven't done it yet. But like I told Grambo the same thing. I told Photo Chad the same thing, was like, I plan on just doing, like panels of just people to talk about like ongoing events. So, you might actually get asked to come on here to talk about something that has nothing to do with what happened to your brother.
Honestly, I don't want to always talk about my brother. He's annoying.
Right. Yeah. Well, he is your brother. He's supposed to be. Isn't it in the job description? I thought for sure.
I do love Kyle with all my heart, but he's annoying.
Right. Well, and so for those of you who don't understand, one of the reasons why I'm so angry about all of this, you can watch my previous stream that I did with Johnny, where we talked to Wendy and Mackenzie, the other sister, as well. Or wait, no, your other sister, right? Didn't we determine that? Your other sister.
Yeah, the other sister.
So, anyway, my point is that you guys can kind of get what I mean, because like, yes, we talked about the trial and we talked about that night and we talked about all that, but we also just gave them an opportunity to be people, right? And that was actually what led to, like, I got contacted by some guy who makes documentaries in the United Kingdom, and he asked me to reach out to you guys. Did you ever talk to him?
No.
No, and I don't. It's like I don't know what to take. It's like because I told Wendy I was like, this guy seems okay, but he is a documentary filmmaker. I have no idea what he's gonna do, but like,
Yeah,
and then you guys take it from there. But my point is, go ahead.
We kind of looked up the email and stuff, and the fact that it was in an Outlook and not a corporation, or it kind of seems fishy. So we're just not gonna
Fair enough. I will say that what I told him when I was talking to him was just you need to, rather than talking to any of the people involved, go watch all the raw footage before you make any kind of assumptions about who was involved, who the people were. Go watch what actually happened so you can look at it, evenly. So, but anyway, and then somebody, yes, David Hancock's in the chat. Rakita made hundreds of thousands of dollars off the Kyle situation. I know. And he continues to, and a lot of them do. And like I said, whereas some of the law tubers definitely put a lot of effort into their content, and it doesn't bother me that they're succeeding, some of the others did not, and they just kind of fell into it. But that's kind of the nature of YouTube. There are a lot of people now that have enormous subscriber counts who basically just kind of screw around in front of the camera. And you find yourself when you do Johnny and I's work, where we're sitting there for hours and hours and hours and hours and hours, researching everything to be absolutely sure that everything we say is correct, it's definitely a situation where people are not always awarded for their hard work. I guess I would put it that far, but anyway, thank you for coming on, Faith. And I really appreciate it. And I hope that you continue to flourish in all of this. You're a very spunky kid, and I look forward to hearing what how your nursing stuff goes. Feel free to text me, and remember also that if there's something you want to say to me that you don't want shared with the entire universe, just make sure you let me know.
Yeah, of course. Don't worry.
Yeah. And Johnny, did you have anything you wanted to say?
Well, I mean, you mentioned something about, how much money we make. I've made zero. I have 400 videos. I think I have at least 4,000 hours invested into Kyle and the Kenosha shootings. And I just reached 1,000 subscribers. I mean, can you imagine? 3 years and I have about 1,000 subscribers. But you know what? I have a full-time job. This is a hobby for me. And the time when I saw Kyle and your mother in the jail cell, not cell, but the interrogation room, and they're both crying, and your mother is really in bad shape. Well, both of them were. That's when I said, "Hey, man, this is serious stuff." That's when I rallied my interest to devote towards getting the truth out there about the Kenosha shootings. I still firmly believe that Kyle is absolutely innocent. I just don't like what he's become in some ways. I think that the success has really spoiled him, and he's not the true Kyle. And I will say this, Faith, I think when he turns about 25, 26, he'll start to see it all for what it was. All the Jack Prosobieks and the Rikitas will be gone. Rick, you really think that Rikita's going to have him on his show 4 years from now? I mean, no. They'll all be gone, and the dust will clear, and he'll see that in the end, there were people out there who did fight really hard for him. His family, a lot of the grassroots supporters, and my latest video, I named a lot of them. Right, there are a lot of people on Twitter who devote thousands of hours in disputing everybody who attacks him. I don't think that he's ever really appreciated what they do, what I do, what Neil does. But I think, when he gets about 25, he will. And I think that you will probably be getting a phone call at some point, and at that point you have to look into yourself and decide what you're going to do. I would love to see the Rittenhouses in some future time together again, but this book hurt, and at that point, I will absolutely respect anything you do there, because really, I could totally understand where you might look at it and say, no, I mean, too much water has flowed under the bridge.
Yeah.
Well, I think you think that now. 5 years from now, maybe you'll feel a little bit different. But keep in mind, the book will still be out there, and you can't reel those in. And so I would absolutely understand saying, no, sorry. And keep in mind, we have given him plenty of warning. It's not like he stumbled this thing into this blind. I told him explicitly there were serious problems in his book, that there were serious ramifications if you publish this. If he still decides to do it, it's on him. So, at any rate, let me go ahead and sign off on my end. I have, again, about 400 videos, lots of interviews of the Rittenhouse family along with other witnesses and everything. So if this stuff interests you, go and subscribe to my channel. And by the way, I cover a lot of topics. The police brutality myth is one that I cover now, and I know that doesn't resonate with everybody here, but I do cover that on my channel. So I have a lot of stuff there. Go and subscribe. I would love to get a few more subscribers out of this if possible. I just hope I haven't lost any, because a lot of times I'll actually put out a new video and like, wait, what happened? I'll lose subscribers. But at any rate, I don't need to do it. I don't make money from it. This is a passion of mine, and I don't have to apologize to anybody for it.
I think that,
thank you so much for coming on.
And like, my motive has always just been to boost the signal, because like what got me involved in all this was just that there's so much nonsense being spoken right now. There's so little critical thinking being done. And it's unfortunate to be like, a smaller voice in a sea of people that are not really helping the situation. That's the part that frustrates me. It's like there's just this collective insanity going on in society right now. And there's so few people that are being very strict to trying to make sure that they stick with the facts. There's very few people who are actually going to try to be sure that they're clear when they're editorializing or when they're just going over the reality of a situation. That used to be theoretically what journalism was. It's really not anymore, and that's why, I said that it's unfortunate, and that's what I was getting at, is that when I brought up Ricada, it more just has to do with the fact that, like, he's been on a bunch of people's shows, your brother, who are not going to have any use for him later, like we said earlier. And I hope that, not just the people that put all of the video evidence together that is the reason he got acquitted, which I'm only one of like a few key people. It's also going to be his fucking family. Like, you need to be there for your family, dude.
I could talk more. I could talk more about the whole narrative that he painted at the trial, but like, that's another discussion.
If you want to do that at some point, you can. I'll be happy to bring you on. But I was mostly concerned about the narrative about him talking about your sister and your mom and you, because
that's what I was more concerned about.
Right. Well, that's really what concerns me more than anything else, was just that at the end of the day, I don't regret any coverage that I did, because the truth of the situation was more important. But it also has to do with the fact that there was more. That trial was made into something bigger than just a 17-year-old kid with a rifle. It was made into the self-defense argument. It was made into the gun rights argument. It was made into also just this weird thing from the alt-left, where we kind of secretly say that we support rioting without saying it. Like, it's like they always looked at it from a perspective of like trying to suggest that rioting is a legitimate form of activity to achieve social change. And the only thing that it did through all of this was essentially it discredited the people who did it, and it hurt a lot of innocent people, and not a single positive thing came out of it. But but anyway, thank you again very much for coming on. Thank you, Johnny, for coming on. And I appreciate everybody who listened today. I know I saw a few new faces in here. If you have not had a chance yet, please like, subscribe, ring the bell, etc. And you'll find more content. I've done documentaries on Kyle. I've done documentaries on Daryl Brooks, the Christmas massacre killer.
Dude, I'm binge watching those now.
Yeah. You're watching mine?
No, I'm watching just Daryl Brooks in general.
Did you see his trial?
Say that again.
Have you just decided to watch his trial?
No, I can't stop watching him over and over again.
They're entertaining.
My friend and I, Neo Unrealist, who's a friend of the show, got deleted off YouTube, cover that trial, and he's still over on Rumble, and we followed that. That was so cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. But like, you know, one of the things that I brought up in my documentary about it was just the way they covered him in comparison to your brother. Your brother was instantly, a white supremacist conservative named this name, with this gun, and then he was an SUV. Daryl Brooks was an SUV. This was caused by an SUV, just an SUV. Nothing else. You don't need to know. An SUV drove into the parade as if it was a robot or something. It took forever, and it took the same people who gave me the information about Zeminski and stuff to actually bother to go through and figure out who the guy was, why he did it, and to go over his social media, which is just packed full of I hate white people, racist stuff all over the place, which nobody talks about any of that because the guy was a cuckoo black supremacist. And I hate all racists equally, just so we're clear. But the point is that, like I do documentaries about that stuff. I did a documentary about Michael Forrest Reinhold murdering Jay Danielson. And I also do, a lot of different stuff about the current political climate. While I personally lean left, I don't really do much content about right versus left. Every now and then, if somebody asks me to, then I'll cover it. Like people go, I really like your content, man, but you're a Bernie supporter. Why do you support Bernie? Then I'll answer their question. And the reason why is that I just think we have bigger problems right now. It kind of comes down to something that Logical Checkmate, friend of the show, who also did a lot of great Kyle Rittenhouse stuff, during the trial. And, all that was said was like, man, you guys can't even get it straight that he didn't shoot any black people. How are you going to have any meaningful conversations about healthcare and, all that other stuff? And he's right. There's so much polarization and so much noise going on right now. And actually, that's the funny thing is everybody who watches my channel generally assumes that I'm some far right guy because of the fact that I do call out the left when they lie constantly. But that used to be what we did.
He's MAGA.
Yeah, that's what it is. Obviously, Make America. I want to get a purple MAGA hat, and it's going to be Make America Grape Again. That's my plan.
Honestly,
yeah, or we can get a Tony the Tiger one and be like, Make America Great Again.
Yeah, the Tony Tiger one.
You want a Tony the Tiger hat? I'm getting it just for you.
Literally, that's like my whole spirit animal.
Yes. Tony the Tiger is your spirit animal?
Yeah.
So is Frosted Flakes your favorite cereal?
No.
Okay, you heard it first here, guys. Faith's cereal favorite is not Frosted Flakes. Well, before we go then, what is your favorite cereal?
Cinnamon Toast Crunch.
That's a good choice.
Yeah.
That makes me feel so guilty eating that though. It's like, why don't I just take a bag of sugar and just start emptying it into my mouth? Here we go.
But it is
really good.
The crunch.
No, but I also like healthy cereals like Crackling Oat Bran. You ever eat that?
I don't like
Honey Nuts and Oats.
Oat Bran. Yeah, that one's good.
Well, Oat Bran or Crackling Oat Bran. Crackling Oat Bran is flavored with coconut, and I like coconut. So unless you like,
that sounds like soul food.
For my healthy cereal, I like no, I like unhealthy cereal. Do you count Fruity Pebbles?
Okay, guys, you heard it here exclusively. Kyle's sister's favorite cereal is Cinnamon Toast Crunch. We've accomplished what we set out to do when we did this stream. Thank you very much for tuning in. Please make sure that you've subscribed to V Radio and to Johnny Walker Dread. And we will bring you the latest in this trial and the post-trials and the trials of the trials and the trials of those who followed the trial. And it's been quite a trial.
All right. Take care.
Take care.
Bye.